welcome back to The Learning Gardener. If you haven't been here before, my name is Pip and we have got a rather beautiful job to do today. We are going to be taming some of these beautiful roses and taking them inside to enjoy these absolutely gorgeous blooms. Some of these roses were actually in their peak last week, so we'll be deadheading some of them, but I will show you what they were like last week because they were absolutely gorgeous. But the weight of the blooms on some of the roses is actually really flopping the plant over at the moment, so we need to deal with it, particularly this one, which is a Roald Dahl David Austin rose. I thought I had done an alright job pruning this rose, but it does look like this branch has decided to come across into the middle of the plant, so I'm going to take the whole thing out. Now that I've reduced some of the general bulk of the plant, I can come back through and make sure that I've made all my cuts just above a point where there's a leaf branch that comes out that has about 5 leaves on it, just so I'm making sure that any cuts were made in a direction that is going to help shape the plant. To be honest, I'm also not that worried. If we get another branch that grows in a wayward direction, I'll just let it bloom and do exactly what I just did and take it off. But if I can shape this one a little bit more, I've got another one behind me that's growing in much more of a controlled mound. But if we can change the shape of this one, that would be nice, because it does sort of veer out this way for the most part, or it certainly does now that that big flopped over mid branch is gone. So we've harvested from one of the Roald Dahl roses, and this is way more than I was expecting to be able to salvage. But this one is even more beautiful. So we're going to be harvesting all the gorgeous flowers from here too. So inside is going to be smelling so amazing. Something pretty massive that I'm noticing as I'm going around and taking these beautiful roses is that we have way less disease than last year. Last year we got black spot fungus disease like almost as soon as these guys bloomed, and it persisted no matter how many times I treated it or cut off all the leaves. There was basically nothing much that I could do to stop my roses from getting black spot. But this year there's very, very little. We're going to go to a rose that's not doing its best, but to be honest, I haven't fertilized it yet. I really need to. But it's called the Blue Moon, and it's a purple rose, and it was horrendous with the black spot last year, and it's looking a bit rough again this year. These guys, I thought when I transplanted them into these pots that perhaps I'd over-fertilized them, but they just are living their best lives. So I need to go around and fertilize the other roses just as heavily as I have. So I might do that later on today, but we'll see how we go for time, because it's quite late in the afternoon and it does look like it's going to rain. So I want to get these guys all harvested and inside. Oh, I just swallowed a bug. So let's get back to it. somehow we managed to get so many of the Roald Dahl roses that this basket is now full. I've had to go and get the other basket, although we won't be needing it in this garden bed. This garden bed was originally supposed to be a purple and yellow garden bed with foxgloves in it. The foxgloves are finally starting to bloom. We do have a lot of purple and a lot of yellow because we have a lilac and we have a lemon tree, and we have these absolutely gorgeous statice and aquilegia flowers, but it did end up last season being a bit more of a mix of colours. But we have a purple rose in here called the Blue Moon. Now, I'm not particularly fond of purple roses. That's not the reason I got it. I used to call my previous dog Moony, so when I saw this, I thought, well, that'll be a nice touch to add to the garden. This is the one that has had the most amount of black spot. It's not doing too badly this year. Last year it was basically covered from beginning to end of season, and it spent most of the season with no leaves because I kept pulling them all off. But the flowers never really opened this year, but they have died, so it does need to be deadheaded. So that's what we're going to do now. If we look in here, we've got a couple of leaves that have a bit of black spot on them. So I'm just going to pluck them off and hope that that's all we get this season. The reason I'm doing this without my gloves is because I don't want to transfer any of the fungus over to the other roses. And I can easily wash my hands. Next on the list to deal with is this Nema climbing rose. You can see that it is sprawling absolutely everywhere, and I really need to deal with it because these huge branches were not here at the start of spring 6 weeks ago, and it needs some taming. I did plan to do it before the flowers bloomed, but the ones on the archway at the back have bloomed, so we're just going to have to deal with it when we deal with it. But I just wanted to take off a few of the blooms that are either hanging into the archway and therefore running the risk of scratching someone as we walk through, or the puppies as they come through, or the ones that are looking a little bit weary by comparison to some of the fresher blooms. So these produce a absolutely beautiful pink rose, and you can see that they're quite prolific. I will show you some close-ups. They are covered in buds, which is absolutely amazing. It's going to look so beautiful. Last weekend what I did was, at the very end of the weekend, so I never had time to do it, but I bought a second archway to put here and to do the same with the archway at the back, because I think this is going to end up being too wide a plant to just tame to one archway, and I think if I try and tame it to one archway, it won't get enough airflow, it'll have disease. And so what I'm going to do is make the archway essentially wider. Hopefully that doesn't end up casting too much shade on the garden beds, but I think it should be right. The other thing I picked up at the hardware store is some black spray paint to spray paint these tops on the very, very, very necessary star picket posts that keep these guys from blowing over every time we have wind, which is very, very often. Now this Nema rose is not as bad at invading the pathway, which is lovely, but it does still need taming, and I want to have a full vase of pink blooms, seeing we got so many of the Roald Dahl ones, so I just want to take a few more off. Most of these are at the top, so I will leave most of them, although I might climb up and get a couple in a minute. But this is fast becoming one of my favorite areas. I know the camera is not doing it justice. It's one of those things you have to see with your eyeball, because we've got the beautiful purple salvia here. We've got some pink or light purple statice that is in bloom at various points. Then you've got the beautiful pink of the Nema roses, and in the background we've got the other roses that are in the orchard, particularly the beautiful Munstead David Austin, which was fantastic last week. It is rough this week, but last week was absolutely divine. And so when you come through the garden from this angle and you see all of that at once, it's absolutely glorious. But for right now, I've got to climb up on the ladder and get some blooms. These are the Munstead David Austin roses, and I think I'm going to have to switch over to a voiceover soon just because there's a lot of music playing next door and I don't want to get a copyright violation on YouTube. But most of these are done. There are some buds that are about to bloom, so I will still take these in, but these are the flower that makes me really, really badly want to get a thorn device to dethorn roses, because these are the thorniest roses I have ever seen in my entire life. This Princess Charlene de Monaco rose is one of my favorites in the garden. It's not particularly prolific, but the scent is unreal. It is the epitome of the scent of rose, but it has had issues with black spot. This other rose, which I forget what type it is, you can see is covered in black spot already, and we've had a very dry spring, and I've already pruned these roses for removing dead branches and diseased branches, and you can still see that there are more problems with these roses. The hybrid tea roses just don't do well in our coastal region. They don't cope with the humidity, and they're just, I swear, permanently riddled with diseases, unlike the David Austin Roald Dahl, which has really been fantastic, and especially this year, very, very prolific.
Come on, baby, take a leap of faith.